Tonight on Star City News, downfalls of the GOP healthcare bill escalate as millions could lose coverage. And a band born in Omaha comes back to celebrate their 12th album. And up next, find out which I-80 ramp is closing in Lincoln. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Star City News.
Live from the television studios in the College of Journalism and Mass Communications at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, Star City News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Star City News. I'm Tommy Rezach.
And I'm Christian Folsom.
The Trump administration's replacement for Obamacare is facing new opposition tonight. That comes on the heels of a federal report that was issued yesterday. Star City News reporter Christian Folsom has more.
We disagree strenuously with the report that was put out.
GOP leaders are facing a new reality. A Congressional Budget Office projection that shows a drop in coverage for 24 million Americans by 2026.
The Republican bill pushes 24 million people out of health care, off of health coverage. This is a remarkable figure. It speaks so eloquently to the cruelty of the bill that the Speaker calls an act of mercy.
As the president and his supporters try to maintain a sense of urgency.
The fact is, Obamacare is a disaster. And I say this to the Republicans all the time, by repealing it, by getting rid of it, by ending it, everyone's going to say, oh, it used to be so great. But it wasn't great.
President Trump today meeting with people who say Obamacare hurt them, acknowledging that the process to repeal and replace won't be clean or easy.
More competition and less regulation will finally bring down the cost of care, and I think it'll bring it down very significantly. Unfortunately, it takes a while to get there because you have to let that marketplace kick in.
Just 24 hours after his point man said this.
I firmly believe that nobody will be worse off financially in the process that we're going through, understanding that they'll have choices that they can select the kind of coverage that they want for themselves and for their family, not that government forces them to buy.
But Republican sources say the new CBO numbers are certain to create a problem with the more moderate members of the party. The reason? The provision to repeal Obamacare's Medicaid expansion, which the bill sets at 2020, conservatives say that's not soon enough. And a powerful outside group, Heritage Action, continues to push outright opposition to the bill.
Any conservative member of Congress who stands strong and insists that we use this moment to repeal the architecture of Obamacare, to fully repeal it and then replace it, will never regret the courageous stand they take in the coming weeks.
Just last night, Representative Jeff Fortenberry held an overflow town hall meeting at Lincoln Southwest High School over the GOP healthcare plan. He received an earful from many constituents. More than 1,000 people were at the meeting. The House Budget Committee is set to hold a final hearing on the Trump Care legislation this Thursday. That will set the stage for a floor vote next week.
An executive order from President Trump completing the construction of the North Dakota Access Pipeline didn't stop thousands of protesters nationwide, including a rally at the steps of the Capitol last weekend. Renee Sans-Souci of the Omaha tribe says the impact of this pipeline could have devastating consequences.
It's about our future. It's about our children. It's about those who aren't even here yet, the future generations. And that's all of us.
Bold, Nebraska has actively opposed both the Keystone and Dakota Access pipelines. Bold, Nebraska Director Linda Anderson explained her support for the protest.
This is not just a fight for Native rights. It's not just a fight for farmers or ranchers. This is a fight for all of us.
Sioux Tribe is continuing its uphill battle by turning to the courts to file a lawsuit against the pipeline project. Supporters of the pipeline project say that they will be environmentally safe and will also help to create jobs.
Road work is set to begin next week at the 27th Street and I-80 interchange. The Nebraska Department of Roads says the project will replace deteriorating concrete on 27th Street. It'll also make I-80 ramp repairs and do some bridge rehabilitation. The I-80 on-ramp at the 27th Street interchange will be closed for 40 days during the project. It's scheduled to reopen in late May. All the repairs are set to begin March 20th and be completed by early fall. Two Lincoln buildings in the downtown area are set to undergo a major transformation. The project will bring a new boutique hotel and renovations to the historic Lincoln Commercial Club building.
Star City's Tommy Rezach, has more on the project.
Lincoln Mayor Chris Beitler announced a $10 million project on January 10th, which involves a major renovation of 2 buildings at the downtown intersection of 11th and P Streets.
The first building is this 3-story structure at 216 North 11th Street that's currently vacant. 4 new floors will be added to it, and it'll become the Kindler Hotel. The second building is this one, the historic commercial club building in Lincoln. While Misty's restaurant will remain the same, the upper floors will receive significant improvement and restoration.
The commercial club building will receive many upticks, namely new second-floor windows and a complete restoration of the third-floor ballroom, a banquet hall with a 25-foot ceiling. Lincoln Urban Development Director David Landis says that floor hasn't been used since the early 20th century.
A gorgeous old World War I 25-foot high ceilinged banquet room. It hasn't been used in years, but it's a gorgeous facility that's there and underutilized.
The Kindler Hotel will have 34 rooms, an indoor and outdoor lounge, and wine bar. Gil Peace is the project's lead architect. He believes the hotel and the restored ballroom will offer a form of hospitality Lincoln hasn't seen before.
This will be created specifically for this market in Lincoln, really trying to focus on high-end finishes, luxury goods on the inside of the hotel rooms.
Construction on this project is scheduled to begin this spring and should be completed by the summer of 2018.
You may be surprised to find out which government agency receives no government funding. Star City's Christian Folsom has more.
According to USA.gov, there are 601 federal agencies in the U.S. Of those agencies, only one does not receive any federal funding, the USPS. To make matters worse, in 2006, Congress mandated that they pay all of their retirement for the next 75 years, totaling over $5 billion per year. Roger Humphreys, the customer relations coordinator for the Omaha Post Office, says the mandates are unheard of outside of the USPS.
No company is required to do that. No other government agency, no private company, no other company in the United States, or as far as the world, as far as I know, has that kind of restriction or commitment that we have to do.
Beth Terrebonne, a carrier in Papillion, has to deal with people's misconceptions about the USPS often.
Yeah, I've had people come out to me and say, I pay your salary with my taxes, and I don't really respond much to it because people don't really get it, so that's fine. But mostly what I say back to them is, you actually don't, but okay. You know, it doesn't really bother me, but I do wish that more people understood that we are not tax funded.
If not for the mandate, Roger Humphreys says the self-sufficient USPS would actually be in the green, not in the red.
We are now $15 billion in debt, and we can only go to $15 billion. That's our debt limit that's been set years ago. So, yes, are we in the red? Absolutely. But if we did not have that pre-funding, just this last year alone, we would have made, the Postal Service would have made $200 million. So we're making money.
Reporting for Star City News, I'm Christian Folsom.
2 store chains are closing their doors in Lincoln soon. Radio Shack will be closing its 2 remaining locations in the capital city as a result of the company's bankruptcy filing last week. Radio Shack has not given any specific dates for closings, but the company says all locations will be closed by the end of March. Omaha-based store chain Gordman's declared bankruptcy on Monday, saying in a news release that its stores will be liquidated. This likely means the end of the century-old retailer, which has 1 location in Lincoln at 27th and Superior, ironically on the same block as Radio Shack.
With spring just around the corner, it's almost time for some of Lincoln's favorite outdoor activities. Up next on Star City News, we'll tell you when to expect the Lincoln Zoo's doors to open. Plus, we'll bring you the latest on the Daily Nebraskan ASUN vote. All that and more after the break here on Star City News.
For nearly 7 years now, Here Nebraska has provided the state with nonprofit music journalism. Our platform survives on the hard work and dedication of our staff and our contributors, everyday volunteers that generate content. Contributing is an excellent way to gain valuable professional experience, recognition, and build your portfolio. Go to herenebraska.org to learn more and how you can contribute.
East Campus is for students who want an education outside of the classroom. We have art, agriculture, fashion, food science, law, dentistry, and a lot of trees, all of which are housed just on the corner of 33rd and Holdridge. Grab an ice cream cone at our dairy store or take a stroll through our gardens while you're here. Want to make it legit? Visit us at casnr.unl.edu to reserve a tour soon.
A lot of high school students would ask, why should I go to UNL? Well, why did Johnny Carson of The Tonight Show fame go to UNL? Why did multi-billionaire businessman Warren Buffett go to UNL? Why did people of such great fame and success go to UNL? Simple, because these are people that wanted to be successful. At the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, you too can begin your own success story. After all, if people like this can achieve national recognition and who came from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, then so can you.
Welcome back to Star City News. I'm Christian Folsom.
And I'm Tommy Rezach. Federal prosecutors have indicted a Lincoln man on child pornography charges. 37-year-old Matthew Rouse, a master sergeant with the Nebraska National Guard, was charged last month. He is accused of meeting a 16-year-old girl at an Omaha hotel and engaging in sexually explicit conduct. The indictment says Rouse videotaped the encounter and then distributed it. He is set to appear in federal court later this week. The Lincoln Children's Zoo opened its doors Saturday, celebrating its 52nd season. The zoo is welcoming a variety of new species this year, including 4 new penguins and a kookaburra. Zoo staff hope to see new offspring, especially from some of the endangered species. The zoo will be open daily through October 16th.
The UNL student body president has vetoed a bill that provides key funding for the Daily Nebraskan newspaper. Spencer Hartman has not said why he vetoed the newspaper's funding, but will explain at this Wednesday's ASUN meeting. Last Wednesday, the Student Senate approved an amendment to appropriation bill that restores the DN's full funding to $134,000. The original recommendation from UNL's Committee for Fee Allocations included a $20,000 cut to the DN. DN reporter Jessica Larkins has covered the story since the beginning, and she says given last week's vote, it appears unlikely that Hartman's veto will be sustained.
They need a 2/3 majority vote to overturn his veto, but as of right now, if the voting went exactly like it did last Wednesday, we do not have that 2/3 majority.
ASUN voted to restore the DN's funding last week. The Student Senate needs a 2/3 vote to override Hartman's veto.
The travel bug is biting and students are getting warned for spring break. The Zika virus has been linked to unusually small heads and brain damage in newborns whose mothers have been infected by the virus. Mosquitoes are carrying the Zika virus in Florida, Texas, Mexico, and over 60 nations worldwide. In order to protect yourself, the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services recommends applying EPA-registered insect repellent, wearing long sleeves, and staying indoors with air conditioning.
A winter storm is rolling through the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast tonight. It's hitting large metropolitan areas and millions of people across the Northeast seaboard with a mix of sleet and snow. Chris Welch, a graduate from our college, filed this report earlier today from New York.
Stay home if you can. That's the message from officials across the Northeast ahead of a potentially historic winter storm.
Take it seriously. When we say you got to stay off the road, they need to stay off the road so the crews can do their work. We're going to have some significantly dangerous conditions out there.
Amid a raft of blizzard warnings and watches, emergency crews are out in force from northern Virginia all the way to Maine. Forecasters say New York and Boston could get well over a foot of snow.
Mother Nature and cold May and winter, they get together and look what happens.
The storm has already impacted air and ground travel, with both flights and trains canceled. And as usual, it's impacting grocery stores, where shoppers found long lines and empty shelves. Meteorologists say heavy snowfall should be expected throughout the day. Authorities warn that the safest bet is to just stay home.
Please stay indoors so that we can try to get through the morning rush hour and get through the day to try to address the roadways.
Tonight, the blizzard warning for New York City has been canceled with 4 to 8 inches of snow expected there. As a precaution, though, more than 5,800 flights were canceled earlier today at airports in New York, Boston, Philadelphia, and Washington.
Well, coming up next on Star City News, we'll show you if a potential warm-up is on the way for Lincoln. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after the break.
A lot of high school students would ask, why should I go to UNL? Well, why did Johnny Carson, the Tonight Show fan, go to UNL? Why did multi-billionaire businessman Warren Buffett go to UNL? Why did people of such great fame and success go to UNL? Simple, because these are people that wanted to be successful. At the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, you too can begin your own success story. After all, if people like this can achieve national recognition and who came to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, then so can you.
Out with the old, in with the new. The University of Nebraska-Lincoln's College of Journalism and Mass Communications is ready for the future with its brand new renovation. This renovation was completed with you in mind, so you can create, so you can innovate. Change how you view the world, how you capture the world. Start here, go anywhere.
For nearly 7 years now, Here Nebraska has provided the state with nonprofit music journalism. Our platform survives on the hard work and dedication of our staff and our contributors, everyday volunteers that generate content. Contributing is an excellent way to gain valuable professional experience, recognition, and build your portfolio. Go to herenebraska.org to learn more and how you can contribute.
Are you tired of waiting in line for weight sets or an open treadmill at the campus rec? Do the crowds make working out less appealing? Then head on over to the East Campus Rec and Wellness Center. The East Campus Rec has everything you need, from weightlifting, running, and fitness machines to basketball courts and an indoor track, all without the crowds. So come on over to the East Campus Rec and Wellness Center, located at 1717 North 35th Street, just a block west of the East Campus Union.
Welcome back to Star City News. I'm Tommy Rezach.
And I'm Christian Folsom. Well, we've heard about the blizzards, but what's forecasted for Lincoln? Let's check in with Star City's Jocelyn Darling. Jocelyn?
It's cold and cloudy today, 27 degrees outside right now. Winds from the southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. We did get a little snow this morning. Our total accumulation was about 1/2 inch, but nowhere near what they're getting out in the northeastern part of the country. Taking a look at our almanac, the low this morning was 20 degrees. The high today is 27, which is actually our current temperature and the average low for today. So we're definitely below average with our temperatures, but nowhere near that record low of -5 set back in 1897 or the record high of 82. Out in western Nebraska, though, they might get temperatures reaching 82 by Sunday. Headed into tonight, our low temperature is going to be 21 degrees. That cloud cover is going to keep it from getting too terribly cold, but you'll still want to bundle up if you're headed out. The winds will be from the east at 5 to 10. Moving into the overnight, though, those winds are going to shift to the south and bring up some nice warm temperatures. Tomorrow, the high is going to be 43 degrees. Taking a look at our 7-day forecast, those temperatures are going to continue to rise. Thursday, it'll be 68, which is 40 degrees warmer than today. For St. Patrick's Day, it'll be nice and mild, 62 degrees. Headed into spring break, we're going to keep those mild temperatures, 62 on Saturday, 72 on Sunday. Sunday evening, there's a weak front that's going to roll in that'll cool things down a little bit. We may get some rain. The high on Monday will be 61 and Tuesday will be 55, but that's right on track for where we should be this time of year. Once we get past these next 36 hours, it looks like it's going to be smooth sailing for the next week. Back to you at the desk.
Well, Tommy, not exactly the most ideal weather for any sports right now, but this weekend it's supposed to warm up with the baseball games coming up.
Yeah, absolutely, and it wasn't ideal driving this morning. That little dusting of snow made things a little slick out there, for myself included, but we made it. It's all melted off, and yeah, warm weather coming up. Baseball this weekend, I'm looking forward to it for sure. And speaking of sports, one of the members of the men's basketball team is transferring to another school, and former Husker running back Rex Burkhead has found a new home in the NFL. Find out more after the break. You're watching Star City News.
The historic Haymarket, a beautiful place just west of downtown Lincoln, home of the exciting Pinnacle Bank Arena and a rich history. The Haymarket's history starts shortly after Lincoln's founding, when Lincoln was a busy hub for trains filled with traders and merchants. But now, Lincoln has a new rail yard that's filled with people looking for food, drinks, or fun. The Haymarket is loaded with restaurants and fun for everyone. What are you waiting for? Go visit lincolnhaymarket.org/events to find out what's happening today.
Here, at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, we know you enjoy the little things, and the big things, and a lot of things. But we want to make sure that you do it right. Remember, a little bit of protection can save you from sickness and unintended accidents. This message brought to you by the University Health Center. When you do it, just do it right.
Welcome back to Star City News. I'm Anthony Ainsley with your latest sports news. Nebraska men's basketball player Nick Fuller said he is leaving the Huskers after this semester comes to an end. The junior forward said he plans to graduate from Nebraska in May and then play his senior year elsewhere. Fuller played 15 games this past season and played a total of 85 minutes and averaged 1.1 points a game and 1.1 rebounds a game. He has not said where he plans to play during his senior year as of now. Nebraska baseball's Jake Myers earned Big Ten Pitcher of the Week honors after a stellar performance on Sunday. The junior left-hander recorded his first complete game Sunday after allowing 5 hits and a walk and striking out 4 in 9 innings pitched. The Huskers beat Western Carolina 10-0, avoiding the sweep. The Big Red play again this weekend as they host a 3-game series against College of Charleston beginning on Friday. First pitch is scheduled for 4:05 p.m. Central Time. And former Husker Rex Burkhead has just recently announced he will be playing for the New England Patriots next season. Burkhead was reported being in Massachusetts late last week visiting the defending Super Bowl champs, and there were also reports earlier last week about him visiting with the Atlanta Falcons. Burkhead spent 4 seasons with the Cincinnati Bengals and enjoyed a productive 2016 season. Experts say Burkhead is an interesting pick for a running back because of the limited amount of damage done to his body so far in his career. Well, and it's finally time. The time has come. It's time for the most exciting 3 weeks of college basketball all year. It's the NCAA tournament. There was quite a bit of talk and controversy about who made it in, who was left out, and who deserves what seed. Last night on UNL's Anderson Sports Live, Tommy Rezach sat down with Jack Housingay about the big stories going into this year's tournament.
Welcome into the coffee table. I'm Tommy Rezach. Seated alongside me is our bracketologist, our correspondent this week, Jack Housingay. And Jack, as there is every year with an NCAA tournament selection show, a lot of controversy, disagreement about who's in, who's out, and who's high and who's low in seeding. But you're of the opinion that this field of 68 is pretty spot on.
Yeah, I think the committee did, top to bottom, a really nice job. Not a lot of controversy, I should say. From 1 to 68, every team really deserved to make it into this year's field, and I think that's going to make for an extremely exciting few weeks and a really good tournament.
Now let's talk about bubble teams. Syracuse and Illinois State left out. You agree with that decision?
Absolutely. I think Syracuse is one of those teams that you expect to be in the tournament every year, but their resume just couldn't cut it this year. 18 wins on the year and 14 losses. That would have been tied for the most losses by any at-large team. They only won 2 games away from the Carrier Dome and lost 5 to sub-100 teams. One of those losses being to Boston College, who's ranked lower than 200th in RPI. Are they a talented team? Absolutely. Are they well coached? Sure. But they just didn't do enough in the regular season to bolster that resume to earn themselves a bid.
All right, yeah, I agree with you when we talk about bubble teams. Now let's talk about seeding. There's been a little bit of a conversation about that. Wichita State being a 10 seed in particular, but you agree with that. So I'll ask you this. If you could go and arrange a couple of seeds, if you could change a couple of things, what would it be?
Yeah, again, minimal controversy there too, but if I was nitpicking, I think Duke could have an argument to get off that 2-seed line and be a number 1 seed. Blue Devils have more top 25 RPI wins than any other team in the country with 8. They also have 13 top 50 RPI wins, again, more than anyone in the entire field. Also, 2 of those came against UNC, who is a 1 seed. And look, a 2 seed's still very good. They're still going to have a very good chance at making a deep run in this tournament, but I think they have an argument to be a 1 seed.
Yeah, I think they have a favorable bracket in the East region. They will take on Troy in the first round. That's going to do it for our coffee table segment this week. Back to you, Anthony.
The journey to the Final Four in Phoenix begins tonight in Buffalo, New York, and Sacramento, California, with a pair of play-in games. First up will be a pair of 16 seeds in the East region. Mount St. Mary's will play New Orleans, and the winner will play the overall number 1 seed, Villanova. The second game is in the South region between 11 seeds Kansas State and Wake Forest. Winner will go on to play 6-seeded Cincinnati. Well, the Nebraska football team had its 4th spring practice this past Saturday. Head coach Mike Riley said in a press conference following the practice that everything is running smooth for the Huskers up to this point, and he feels the Huskers' offensive line is continuing to improve. The Huskers continued spring practice earlier today, and the Red-White spring game is scheduled for April 15th. And finally, the NCAA Women's Tournament also adds to all the madness of March. The women's bracket was released last night. UConn received the number 1 seed in the Bridgeport region, while Notre Dame got the top seed in the Lexington region. The Oklahoma City region has Baylor as their number 1 seed, and the Stockton region's top seed is South Carolina. UConn is once again the favorite, and the Huskies are trying to take home their 5th consecutive national championship. The first round begins this Friday. Well, that's all I have for today. Christian and Tommy, we'll send it back to you.
All right, thanks very much, Anthony. Good stuff. Well, Christian, who do you have in your bracket this year?
Well, for the men's bracket, I got Duke going all the way, winning it all. What about you?
I got UCLA, Lonzo Ball. I've watched them a lot this year. I think they're really exciting, but I'm just happy basketball is back. First game's tonight. Spring break, all I plan to do is just lay on the couch and watch games uninterrupted.
Something great to do that I try and do every single year, man. It's just a good time,
Yeah.
great entertainment.
For sure. Well, up next, we'll tell you what local band is coming to Lincoln soon. You're watching Star City News.
East Campus is for students who want an education outside of the classroom. We have art, agriculture, fashion, food science, law, dentistry, and a lot of trees, all of which are housed just on the corner of 33rd and Holdridge. Grab an ice cream cone at our dairy store or take a stroll through our gardens while you're here. Want to make it legit? Visit us at casnr.unl.edu to reserve a tour soon.
Welcome back to Star City News. I'm Tommy Rezach.
And I'm Christian Folsom.
Well, this summer, one of Nebraska's biggest bands will play on Lincoln's Centennial Mall. It's the Omaha band 311. The Lincoln on the Streets concert series will feature the 311 band as its headline act on June 30th. The Rain or Shine concert will be held at Centennial Mall in M Streets. Tickets are $20. 311 got its start in Nebraska and has become a national touring group. 311 is so big now that the band hosts its own Caribbean ship cruises where thousands of fans sail and listen to their performances. Tickets for 311 and the Lincoln on the Streets concert series go on sale March 17th. They can be purchased online at Ticketmaster.com or BourbonTheater.com.
The moose is loose. Take a look at this impressive video captured on the ski slopes of Breckenridge, Colorado by snowboarder Sherry Luther. Oh my God, I don't know where to go. This is what a moose in full gallop looks like chasing after a snowboarder. Luther had the presence of mind to capture her wild encounter on her smartphone camera. She posted the wild video on her Instagram page and says she kept going because, well, what would you do if a 1,200-pound moose was chasing after you?
I'd freak out. That's what I would do, Christian. Today in entertainment news, Liam Neeson, Hamilton, and a girl with a certain tattoo. David Daniel from CNN has it all in the Hollywood Minute. And unfortunately, I apologize, but we are all out of time for tonight. For Christian Folsom, I'm Tommy Rezach. Thank you for watching Star City News. Good night.
Have a good night.